Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 22, and today we're going to be doing part 3 of our track breakdown guide, courtesy of the MotoGP Academy from MotoGP 22. So into the right hand side for turn 1 we'll go. I'm going to try and give you some pointers throughout this particular session, try and point out which sector time you can be gaining time on, maybe where you can be losing time, and also show you how to do things and maybe not how to show you things, so we'll see what happens. But for now, Sector 1, pretty good. Onto the right hand side for turn 3, bring on the acceleration, get across those particular 2 lines and blips, and then we can start with the track breakdown. So coming into the left hand side here, keeping it nice and tight to the apex with the autopilot, bringing on the power to the end of the barriers, and then starting to slow the motorcycle down. In control, braking up to about 80%, no more than that because you begin to lock the front. Use a bit of rear brake as well just to slow yourself down. Now after the TSO sort of shadow there, massive sign to your right hand side there, go for a little bit of brake. Come for a wider line there. You can try the wider line, you might feel this works for you, but I kind of preferred the other method. So we'll take a look at that again because this being a relatively tricky part of the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit. But bringing on the power, waiting till we get to the end of the pit lane there, you can see the barrier to the left hand side. Slowly bringing on the brakes with Raul Fernandez's KTM, the RC16 of course, as we go to the right hand side. Look for that shadow underneath the TSO sign. Begin to start braking, nice and control, gentle on the brakes, nothing too abrupt, nothing too aggressive, and then get ready to flick it to the right hand side for the next corner. Now of course that corner can be a little bit treacherous, and I do tend to use a little bit of front brake just to slow the motorcycle down. You'll be noticing it. If you pay attention to the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll see it's a little bit of front brake just to trail brake the bike in a little bit more. If you press hard on the front brake, you're going to drop it, so just be very careful. Once again, TSO sign, here's the shadow, starting to brake. I'm really early on the brakes now to go for that really tight apex. Super tight to the apex turn 2. Get ready, start leaning your bike over prematurely for the third corner. A little bit of front brake if you think you're going to run it too deep, and then accelerate with everything you have. So now onto the second sector, we're going to be accelerating from the right-hander from just a moment ago, and now bringing on the power underneath the Michelin sign, and begin to start braking as you get roughly to that massive white line in the middle of the circuit, or even under the Michelin sign shadow. Now of course going into turn 5 I went for a super tight apex once again. Now I would recommend going for the tighter apex rather than the wider apex, but this time I did get a little bit too close and I did touch the inside on the apex, so just be a little bit careful of that one. So the Michelin sign is approaching, there is the white line on the track, just getting near the rumble strips. Of course the rumble strips are there to guide you. If you see a rumble strip on your left hand side or right hand side depending on what corner it is, as you see it begin to materialise from a bog standard track to a full rumble strip, that's a good indication of when you should start braking with MotoGP. Now that doesn't work with all tracks, but it's something to mention when you're learning the tracks by yourself. So braking at the Michelin sign, quite firm on the brakes here, not particularly too firm. I did lock the front ever so slightly, but then I just released the brakes ever so slightly again, just to regain the pressure and also regain the control of the KTM. But now into the left hand side, that one is a pretty easy sector. So now into the third split we'll go, to the left hand side for turn 6. Firm on the brakes well before the shadow. I know the shadow on those signs have been a bit of a guide so far. Do not fall for it for the 6th corner. It is not going to help you. Another extremely tight apex there for me, touching the rumble strip, losing a little bit of time, but braking firm now for turn 9. Be very careful on trail braking into that 9th corner because it is very easy to drop the front, so be very cautious of that. So now to the left hand side we're going to be going. See those Michelin signs on your left though? You can use those as a little bit of a guidance on when to start braking. This time I went a little bit beyond those 2 Michelin signs that were on the floor, and then we went a little bit wide, but by going to the right hand side, holding a nice tight apex and holding a nice smooth acceleration, we were able to begin to move the bike to the right hand side and not touch the rumble strip without losing time. So the third split once more, I'm going to get into the left hand side here. I'm going to look to that Michelin sign to my left, begin to start braking nice and gentle, very controlled on the motorcycle, 90% at most on the brakes. Any more than that and you will lock the front, so be very careful, but holding a nice smooth apex here, braking well before that first white patch on the right hand side there, before that little hut. Start braking before the left hander, trail brake into turn 9, but do not over brake on the left-hander. So into 4th sector now. Probably the make or break it part is this right-hander here, and I'm going to explain how to do it. We're going to look at this 4 times to make sure we get it right. This one for me, not happy with. I went way too wide, didn't really particularly like it. So for the next 3, I'm going to give you a proper guide, but apparently that was enough for the MotoGP Academy. So into the left-hand side, we'll go for turn 11. A little bit wide on the apex there. The autopilot really messed me up on this particular run, but I'm going to show you where to brake. After the DHL sign, start braking. You can go relatively firm on the brakes. Firm enough to almost 90, maybe 95% on the brakes. You can go quite solid when positioning the motorcycle in the right spot. And when doing so, you're going to be pushing the left analog stick down to the bottom right hand corner, so 5 o'clock on a clock. That will give you a good idea of where to start positioning the analog stick to move it in for the right hand side. So you get the wheels relatively parallel, you can start braking quite firm, going into turn 13, and then being able to chuck it across to turn 14. I cannot stress enough, you need to move the bike earlier rather than later. So let's do it all now in one go. Turn 11, drop the shift down to 2nd gear, get a bit more traction, a bit more speed out there. At least I found that was the case for me. Underneath the DHL sign will go, begin to start braking, move the rider's body weight upwards and a little bit further to the right, drop it all the way down to 1st gear, bring on the acceleration, make sure you're turning in early before you go into turn 14 itself, and you'll be alright. So one more time, I know it's a difficult area, so let's look at it once again. Dropping it down into 2nd gear, keep it to the left hand side for turn 11, neck and neck with the Ghost ahead of us, DHL sign approaching, start to brake in now as you go to the right hand side. Nice and controlled, you see the brakes there in the bottom right corner of your screen, slow it down for 13, begin to position the motorcycle up straight and then chuck it to the left hand side for 14. Now that's done and that's all the sector times, let's take a look at the full lap itself. This is where I enjoy the most, and that is doing it all in one smooth, successive run. Now with the sector times, it is a bit jarring with the autopilot coming in and out and stopping you and letting you start, so this is where it all comes together. We're going to do 2 laps here in the Ricardo Tormo circuit. So the left hand side will go then for turn 2, favouring the tighter apex compared to the wider line we tried earlier on. Taking the nice tight line and a little bit of front brake just to slow us down. If you have a bit more confidence, you might be able to chuck the bike in a little bit further and bring on the power, but I was quite happy with the position I went with there. Braking at the Michelin sign, almost full brake there, you see in the bottom right corner of your screen, very, very controlled, 75, 85% of brake at most, as we now chuck it to the right hand side briefly for turn 5, to the left hand side for turn 6, keeping it a nice tight apex and getting prepared to look at the Michelin sign to the left, beginning to start braking, nice and in control, chucking it to the right hand side, a little bit of rear tyre skid there from using a bit too much rear brake, but it's good, absolutely fine. Now towards the little hook thing, there's a little pagoda there to your right hand side, begin to brake after that, going into the left hand side for turn 9, keep it nice and tight, position the motorcycle to the right hand side and upshift quite quickly, drop it down to 2nd gear, keep it nice and tight into turn 11 and slowly, gradually bring on the power, give it everything you've got and get to the right hand side here for the DHL sign, start braking nice and aggressively on the downshifts, keep it nice and tight in turn 13 and power it. Turn it to the left hand side, turn 14, across the line, a 136.006. So one more lap here in the Ricardo Tormo circuit of Argentina, braking firm at the end of the pit lane, nice and in control for the right hand side. You can see how much brake is being applied, went a little bit deep there for turn 1, but it's not a problem. These are both very relaxed laps. I'm pretty much just enjoying myself and having a good time on these ones. This is how smooth you can be when riding the correct way. And now to the right hand side we'll go for turn 3, nice and tight to the apex, didn't go for the trail breakers much there, but what we did get is a little bit better acceleration. We're right on the cusp of getting past the Ghost, but unfortunately the Ghost suddenly decides to get a bit extra boost as we go firm on the brakes after the Michelin sign, sliding the rear into turn 5 now. This one I got a little bit more aggressive with the motorcycle, keeping it to the right hand side for the end of turn 6, or turn 5 rather, now to the left hand side for turn 6, keeping it nice and tight, Michelin signs on your left hand side there, braking just as we get to the middle of them, keeping it nice and wide for a different entry this time. You'll see the difference between the 2 lines, see the difference, much better with the first apex as far as I'm concerned. Braking at the pagoda, to the left hand side we'll go for turn 9, not really happy with this one as much as I was with the previous lap, but we do have a few tenths in the bag, and unfortunately going a little bit wide there for turn 11, didn't downshift this particular time, and I think that cost me a little bit of time. But to the right hand side we'll go now, very firm on the brakes, keeping the bike in control. Being in control of the motorcycle all the time is key, as we now line the motorcycle up, parallel wheels, and to the left hand side we'll go for turn 14 at 135.602. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comments section down below. Got a lot more of these planned, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope it has helped you improve your racing. But upon that note guys, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.